Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Trevor. Very grateful to have you here. And today's video I'm going to be doing a top 10 list of my favorite picks for tropical themed fragrances. So these are all going to share either a fig note, a coconut note, a frangipani, tajit, or tiare tropical flower, and some degree of perhaps maybe a salty quality or something in that nature. So these are all some of the main notes and accords that I like to gravitate towards when I'm feeling tropical, beachy, or seaside. And switching back over to my regular filming apparatus, I'd been trying out a new mic and I couldn't quite get the specs down, so forgive me for poor audio on the last couple of videos. Just getting off of work now, wanted to get a video uploaded for the evening, for the day, and definitely have been feeling tropical. The weather around me has been rather humid and warm, and a little bit of rain intermittently, maybe at night, so the morning definitely has that added humidity, and you get that sense of feeling of wetness and aliveness from the plants, things of that nature. A very fruity time of the year, fruit bearing. And so these are just some of the fragrances that I've been itching to be wearing lately, and I'm going to start things off with this one. It's a cheapie. You can find it's generally for under $50, a lot of times less than that. Got put onto this one by Sebastian, the perfume guy. This is Acqua Colonia Awakening Woods of, or sorry, I always do that. Awakening Woods Scandinavia is another fragrance from this line, the Acqua Colonia Intense. This is sunny seaside of Zanzibar, and this is really kind of very creamy, coconutty, floral, suntan lotiony. It's very much a beachy experience. It definitely has that suntan lotion and almost sandy kind of feeling. This is very sweet, and I'm not that big of a fan of sweet fragrances, but it's definitely something that I can get behind. It's a little bit polarizing. There is a combination of watermelon and star anise that a lot of people tend to veer away from. It's this very pungent type of sweetness that's very different than anything else I've tried before, but a very comforting fragrance. It gives you this big, powerful, potent aura. Doesn't last that long, but something that I've absolutely adored wearing while reading a book in the summertime. Back before I had my kids, something I enjoyed doing, cuddling up with a book and then taking a nap, and this is just like a nice scented pillow in some sense with a heavy tropical vibe going on. So definitely worth checking this one out. One of the best cheapy tropical fragrances in my opinion. Extremely high quality, but like I said, a little bit polarizing. Could be feminine leaning because of the heavy florals, but definitely top tier in the category in my opinion. Next, we have another cheap tropical fragrance. You can usually find this for under $20, definitely if you catch it out at the rack stores. This is Tommy Bahama St. Kitts. So I've only tried 2 Tommy Bahama fragrances. This is my favorite so far, the other one being Maritime Journey. This has got a really nice, refreshing sort of starfruit note in here, along with some nice, almost margarita-esque fresh boozy qualities and some salty nuances with the aquatics in here. Just very much a tiki bar setting. You get all those nuances of the slightly tart quality from the mixed drinks and the fruity essences of those, alongside of that salty sea vibe. Another poor performer, but an absolutely delightful juice, especially for any type of tropical setting. Tommy Bahama St. Kitts, kind of an all-star cheapie in my opinion, or at least in my book. Going on to the last cheapie, another one that is a rack store darling, one that I picked up there myself and found out that they stock these 150 ml bottles. This is Neroli Woods, clone of Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino. This one does have some of those tropical florals and a very slight coconut note in here to kind of veer this one a little bit more friendly towards the tropical scene. Not that Tom Ford's isn't more tropical, but this definitely feels a little bit more on the lighter side in that suntan lotion quality, whereas I get a little bit more of a fresh aquatic from the Tom Ford. But this is very lovely. I did wear this on an actual beach recently on my vacation in Florida. Was wearing it out to a beach wedding where I was the officiant, or the minister there for that one, was rocking this at the time, and it was an awesome companion for that setting. Really Picked it up on the fly too. I forgot my dress pants back at home, didn't pack them, had to go to Ross to go get some dress pants to perform at the wedding, and this was there, and picked it up, wore it for that evening, and it did a great job. So that one is experientially beachside approved from me. And so that's all the cheapies. We're going to move into a couple of the designers here. I think I only have 2 designers, and then the other 5 are niche. So one of the 2 designers is underrated, a little bit poor on performance, but the scent profile is to die for. From Hermes, so you know you're getting a quality creation. This is Jardin and Mediterranee. As you can see, pretty big dent in there. Granted, I do overspray a bit because of the lack of performance, but very nice, refreshing, cool, cold, blue cypress, woody qualities in here. One of the major facets about this fragrance, although the cypress being this blue-toned cooling essence, helps to really make this hyper refreshing. This is one of my favorite high heat picks. And then there's also a fig leaf note that gives it a bit of a bitter green piercing quality that's also great for the high heat. But that the fig brings the tropical nuance into this, and there's a very dewy, watery quality. Not seaside, salty, oceanic, but very dewy water that goes along with that cypress wood and the fig leaf kind of tropical fruity nuance. This one, I would say, try to find a tester for. They generally are, you know, somewhere in the $50 to $60 range for the testers. At least they were for a little while. I think now that they're in season, they're kind of jumping up. But I did see that Forever Luxe, last time they had testers of this in, were going for a really good price. So definitely try to score a tester on this one if you can. I think it's almost $90 for the full presentation. I think a little bit overpriced at that point, but really beautiful fragrance and a top pick for me in the tropical setting. Next, this is probably the most well-known and deserving designer for this list. This is going to be Jean Paul's, Gaultier's Le Beau, Eau de Toilette, creamy coconut, fresh, invigorating bergamot, and a tonka bean to kind of sweeten everything up. It teeters the line between sweet and fresh, perhaps better than anything in my collection. It just has this very refreshing quality. I don't know how else to put it other than in those terms, and in the sense that, like, you know, maybe like you think of like a cola, and this doesn't quite smell like a cola, but it definitely has a little bit of this well done syrupy quality coming in with the tonka bean. And you know, a cola itself is rather thick, sugary, and tends to actually make you more thirsty, but there's something about when you take a sip of a cold iced root beer or a Dr. Pepper that you just get that, you feel like your thirst is quenched. And that's a little bit of like an experience that I get with this one. Just that nice creamy coconut sweetened up by the tonka, but then the bergamot makes it into something that makes you go ah when you come into contact with it. Just really great stuff. And I think Joma Shop had these going for under $90 recently for these 125 ml bottles. That's a great price for this. I would try to find something less than 100 for this 125 ml bottle. I know that this brand is kind of hyped. I can kind of understand it because it's like super mass appealing, but the quality I don't think is worth much more than 100 on almost any of those. Now next we have, moving into the niche realm, this is probably the most affordable of them, and a nice refreshing fig fragrance. It gives me a little bit of this zesty foamy seawater with a refreshing green aspect to the fig. This is Fico di Amalfi from Acqua di Parma. Really kind of a classical summer staple for a lot of people. I could see it being a little bit polarizing. There's just something about, there's like a little bit of a funk going on in between like the seawater and the greenery of the fig, but I think this is like very refreshing, very easy to wear, very nice, nuanced, sweet quality coming in from the fig, and just a well done and well executed fragrance for a steal of a price. This entire brand, I think, is one of the best value for money that you can get. You can generally find anything from the brand, at least the freshies that I've seen, for under $100 for a full-size bottle. These ones, I think the biggest size they come in is the 75 ml. Forgot what I paid for mine, but I think you can generally find these for like 60 bucks. Really great price for that. And moving into the next one, finish off with the last fig fragrance on the list, and I think my favorite fig fragrance in my collection. This is Philosykos Eau de Toilette from Diptyque. Shout out to Justin Copeland. I think he was the one that put me onto this. Very nice, creamy coconut, and there's kind of this sharp greenness from the fig and the fig leaf coming in through here, but the sharpness is rounded out perfectly by the coconut, so it's hyper refreshing in the sense that that green kind of pierces any sort of heavy heat or humidity, and then the coconut just moves it into that more tropical realm while adding this sweet nuance that really balances the fragrance out. And then I don't know if there's any citruses in here, but it does have kind of a sparkly quality to the texture of this fragrance, and also another one that you can generally find for a pretty good price. It's usually like $120 for the 100 ml bottles of this. I think this is a 50 ml. I bought this one years ago and it was only like 60 or 70 bucks. I think prices have gone up, but another steal of a deal, and one of my favorite tropical themed fragrance with the coconut fig combo. Okay, 3 more left on this list. We'll move into this one, which is pretty minimalistic in my opinion. You do get this sandy suntan lotion and sunshine feeling from the nice, well-done citruses in here. Overhyped at the moment, hard to come by. It's been sold out a lot of places, and I would not pay more than $100 for a full bottle, but this is French Riviera from Mancera. Now, I picked this one up. I was lucky enough to be added to Aura Fragrance's notification list for this fragrance. It popped up and I was able to snag this one just like 3 weeks ago for $89, and because of its minimalistic nature, I do think that I would not pay more than $100 for that. It is just a rather simple but beautiful fragrance. It has this tropical tiare flower, I believe is the name of it, in here, along with a little bit of that coconut nuance, so it really smells very much like sunscreen, sand, a little bit of a salty nuance, and this sparkly citrus that isn't quite juicy like a lot of other refreshing citruses. It just adds this tone of brightness that's almost like a hint of sunshine in the composition here. I really do enjoy this though, and I think it's great to have, and I can see why it's been overhyped, but I wouldn't pay the prices that people are asking for currently. But if you can find this for under $100, I think this is a great pick in the tropical genre. And the last two, this is one of my favorite summer fragrances, point blank period. Another one that I think is a little bit overpriced for what it does, yet there is a $30 clone that I own, and I still prefer, I would still dish out the extra premium to get this one. This is Byredo's Bal de Freak, and this is a very nice tropical floral mixed in with this very nice clean linen and what I like to call atomic citrus, like a very absolutely finely ground citrus into such a subatomic measured particle that when it wafts through your nose, you just get this extremely beautiful sensation of like little mini fireworks going off, but they're just so minute, the way that they're done in here, which is one of the reasons why I do love this fragrance and am willing to pay the premium, even though it's another minimalistic fragrance that I think is a little bit expensive for what it does. It's a very beautiful creation, and I am smitten with it quite so. And then there's a little bit of a warm tropical tone to this fragrance also that isn't quite in the clone. This one has a little bit more of an orange pink kind of color scheme going on to the way that the scent presents itself, whereas the clone gets a little bit more green, yellow, and bright and cold, soapy. This one has a little bit of a soapy nuance from the veteran here, but is more of a warm fragrance, and one of my favorites for summer nights and these tropical type settings. And then finally, the last one, last but not least, this is a well-known tropical fragrance worth sampling for sure. It's definitely something I would recommend getting your nose on at least once. Beautiful creation. It's basically like a very creamy, fresh pina colada with this lime nuance. The lime comes in with like an absolutely smack in the face sparkle right up off the top, and then moves into like a supporting note throughout the remainder of the scent. And I actually get really good performance with this one. I get about like 8 hours, honestly. It's maybe not projecting for that amount of time, but it sticks around, and I was surprised by that because I hear people criticize the performance, and I do have the most modern batch of the fragrance, and that is Virgin Island water from Creed. And yeah, basically like a pina colada with a zingy lime going in, running through the composition. Also a bit overpriced for what it is. I still recommend, you know, looking out for a 5 to 10 ml decant instead. It's a bit situational, like you're only going to want to wear it in this sort of tropical setting or some type of party outside during the daytime, I would say, so you really don't need a full bottle. I got lucky and scored this full 100 ml bottle for like $198 off of, I think it was the Perfume Spot. Had a 25% coupon going on, and that still only brought it down to like $219, but I had some rewards cash stored up. Took $20 more off and then got it for sub $200, which is, I don't really even like recommending or paying for anything that's more than $200 for a 100 ml. There are some exceptions, but that's generally like what I think is sort of the line to be drawn on intelligent purchases, I guess. But like I said, there are some exceptions, but for the most part, 200 for a 100 ml is like what I like to recommend to you guys, at least as somebody who's also just sort of making a lot of purchases, you know, doing hauls and allotting a lot of my cash to this hobby. So that was my top 10 tropical fragrances. Let me know if there's any that I may have missed in the comment section down below, what you've been wearing, anything in this category that you've been rocking today or this week. And as always, I appreciate you sticking with me to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.